All right, so what's good, everybody? Quancredible here, bringing you the review for finally a huge milestone here, Black Clover Chapter 300. And before I really get into the review, I said this earlier in the week, but I don't know if you might have seen it, so I'm gonna just say it again. But if you hear anything crazy in the background, I am still kitten sitting, and he has a ton of energy today, so I apologize if he is distracting. But we're gonna proceed with the review regardless. Um, but yeah, no, this chapter, honestly, when I seen the spoilers, I didn't really care for it too much. Um, just because of the nature of the chapter. And like I get it, it's chapter 300, so the main character is going to more than likely be involved. Like I don't know if a lot of you people know, but like when it's a milestone chapter, typically the main character is involved in some way. But honestly, the Noelle dialogue in the chapter was really good. Like it was like as far as like character development and character growth and like just Noelle as a character overall was a good portion of this. Like, and honestly, it really sucks 'cause I feel like a lot of the stuff with the Heart Kingdom initially, at the beginning of this arc, and even like right now with guys just kind of really meh ending to his whole character. It kind of sucks because I feel like all the parts that have been specifically around Noelle have been really good, but Noelle's just been kind of surrounded by mid, so to speak. So it's just it really sucks for Noelle to kind of have to. Her moments are the only thing pulling through for whenever she's involved or like just the other stuff that's going on around her. But as for the actual chapter, in the beginning we do get to see the remnants of what is left of Gaja. I seen this funny thing on Twitter that I think you guys should see. They had the Kentucky Fried Chicken, but it was Gaja. I actually lost it the first time I seen this. But yeah, Gaja's basically done, and then we see that his attack essentially it did do something to Majecula because she did have to she did actually get hurt. But the actual thing is she's covered by high speed regeneration curse magic, and it's just like
Oh, what happened? I didn't even think of that. Oh, damn it! I didn't even think of that.
it's like of course she has a way to heal, being like one of the like top devils in the in the underworld in general. Like so I mean I wasn't too mad at that. It was just like, and of course they found a way for her to heal, which is also another point. um which is another point kind of why the Twin Devils felt so mad. I don't want to go off on a huge tangent on that, but like the Twin Devils didn't even have a way to heal. So they just seemed like even more like there's definitely you can see that gap in between like the first gate of, Devils that came out versus, how high Majecula is. And it also puts Zagrid in a weird spot because like we got to see Majecula's heart and Zagrid also had a way to heal. So it makes you think, I mean, I know there's a lot of like talking about it when it was a big thing, but I don't know, it definitely is a point in Zagrid potentially being higher than the Twin Devils, but I'm not trying to push that agenda right now in this video. And then of course to my surprise, Undyne gets cursed again, like in the midst of all of this. I'm just like, Undyne, you're like like Undyne as a character is a good character, and I want that to be like understood. Or Undyne. I know her name is Undyne, but I've always called her Undyne. I understand that Undyne is actually a really good character in terms of how her flaws work, how she interacts with like Laura Petchka, how she realizes her mistakes and wants to fix them, and understands all these are makings of a good character because she has flaws. But Undyne, for me, I don't like her just because of how dumb she is and just how even in this moment she got cursed, and it's like, dude, you got cursed already. Like you weren't looking out for this. Like can't you die? Like it just seemed like she was like, oh, I'm cursed again. This is like, bro, come on. Like seriously, like you couldn't get God a different way. Even Majek was like, yeah, this is the same as last time. It's like it really is the exact same as last time. And it's really dope. We get this really amazing panel right here of like Noelle staring down, the big Hydra dark nose monster that like Laura Petchka made, as well as Majecula, and the way it was just shot or drawn looks really amazing to me. And then in spite of that, Noelle still fires up her normal Valkyrie dress, not the mermaid boost or not the Saint stage one, just like her regular one, which leads me to believe something that Josuke mentioned on the podcast this past Thursday, is that honestly the Saint stage going out of time might have been an Undyne thing and not even a Noelle thing, because Noelle clearly still has magic in or mana in the tank, clearly, if she can do Valkyrie dress. So like maybe it could have been an Undyne thing, or maybe Undyne wasn't, super versed in using it or hadn't used it in so long, so she couldn't do it well enough. Or it could be like a control thing of their, maybe like for Spirit Dive, both Spirit and Human need to be like perfectly in sync, and since they're just not perfectly in sync, they weren't able to do it. It definitely like opens the door for what could have potentially went wrong with their Spirit Dive, and I really don't think it was a Noelle thing. I really kind of think it was more on Undyne, seeing as how kind of mid Undyne tends to be sometimes. Also, another small note here that isn't like a super big deal in this chapter, but I think it's personally really hype, is that Charlotte through all this is still standing. Like in that same panel where you get Gaja, he's Gaja's done. If Gaja comes back, I'll be really mad. Real's knocked out, KO did one spell, and he's done. But Charlotte is still staying. Like she's like standing strong. Like Charlotte is not going anywhere. Like and like to me, it looks like the Queen of Briars is still active. Like I kind of feel like it is still active, or at least still up. Like Charlotte really hasn't fallen yet, which is like super dope to me. Just to see like that Charlotte, even though she's not getting a lot of dialogue and she isn't the main focus, she has had a really impressive showing throughout this entire fight. And I really feel like people need to talk about her. And I feel like in this Noelle Center chapter, Noelle definitely did her thing, but Charlotte, you were not missed. You were not forgotten here. But like while Noelle is struggling against Majecla, they're going on how Majecla's talking about, if devils when they're up against someone who's way stronger, they would immediately give up because they know it's pointless. While as humans, sometimes you guys have moments where you can get something crazy in a pinch, but nothing's gonna beat me. And it really goes more into Majecla's character because she definitely, even with how she was with Vonica, she seemed really curious about lots of the ways of humans or just human ways in general, which is really neat to see that about like Majecla's character because so far like the Twin Devils didn't really have much of a personality. They just wanted to fight. And then Zagrid, while he was like a bit sadistic, Zagrid was cool for what he was. We don't have a lot of how he was as a character, so to speak. So like he was just a bad guy. But like where Angelica, we're starting to get a little bit of her character, which is interesting. I kind of like that. Being the first like devil that is more so characterized outside of like Libby or like Gimmidel, like outside of those guys, like a first good characterization of a bad guy devil, I guess. But yes, while this whole explanation is going on, she's like attacking Noelle with small parts of the decaying world or small parts of her curse magic, and I'm wondering, is this like is she cursing Noelle or is she just hurting her? Because if Noelle is tanking all these curses, then that's like amazing. But I kind of feel like she's probably just ripping pieces of the dress off. Um, Another thing that kind of bothered me about this entire chapter is there was like no Vonica in it at all, which makes me think that Guy's attack probably killed Vonica. And just I don't know, like the Dark Triad has just been so blah. The Dark Triad have been not the villain group for me at all, like at all. I could probably go into a whole nother video about why they're just so mad, but like for Vonica not even to be mentioned or a panel, it's like we got to see a panel of Real and not a panel of Vonica, like when she's way more important to what's going on here. So I don't know, like so Vonica to me, Vonica guys, they're dead. I hope that they're just not alive. And that basically, not giving up doesn't mean you're gonna win, but if you do give up, you're definitely not gonna win. So like, she wants to keep going, and that's definitely the Asta influence and her growth right there. You love to see it. And then Majecla says, I'm done here. I'm just gonna blow up all the humans in this castle, and is going to turn Lord Petrick into a curse bomb, how we've seen Bonica do the Dark Disciples before. And in this moment when Noelle is reaching out to try to stop it, or just Asta like flies through and like smacks her hand, as like a tag in, and then swoops in, saves Laura Petchka with the with the Demon Annihilator sword, and that is essentially, well, no, they have their moment where like I'm glad, like where Asta's like, I'm glad to see that you're doing okay, Noelle, and she says her whole thing, and it's like kind of a happy reunion in the midst of all this, and then Majecula is like, what is this human? Which in that lies my big problem with the chapter is that Asta was the one to come in and save everything, or not save everything, but he was the first one to get here, which is like, we talked about it a bit on the podcast, Black Clover Survey podcast. Please go support or sub to it if you have not already. Josuke is super close to 1,000 subs, so we can help him get to that. That'd be awesome. But we were talking about it on the podcast where there were so many other characters that had ties to Majecula that it would have made so much more sense for them to pop up outside of Asta being there and saving the day again. And it was like, talked about how it was, Asta who saved the Clover Kingdom. It was Asta who stepped in and saved Notch. It was Asta who stepped in and defeated the Twin Devils. Granted, it was Magna that beat Dante, but Asta was on his way there too. So like, it's like Asta having such a heavy influence in all of this is just like, it feels a bit like suffocating how much of him we're getting. And I get it, he is the main character, but it's one of those things where Tabata in the beginning, who was really good at fleshing out side characters, is now sidelining so many of the side characters, and even the captains I feel like are getting sidelined in the place of Asta now. So it's just kind of a lot for me. Like I would have loved to see Noelle pop in and possibly have some type of new idea or new strategy or new way to fight with devils that he had been working on specifically for this moment, or even Dorothy popped in. There were some ties with her and Molecular, or maybe a tag team of them. Heck, you could have even had the rest of the Spirit Guardians come in. This super pertains to them. You could have had them come in and do something. Granted, they're fodder, but it's like they have more connection to this than Asta does. So like, there's that. Unless Libby and Molecular have some type of crazy connection, which I mean, fine, I guess if they do that, whatever. But you know, at the moment they don't. So that's kind of my only gripe about it. It's like you keep having Asta save everything, and it's as Jay said on the podcast, it's very reminiscent of Dragon Ball Z, where like everyone trains and gets stronger, but Goku's the only person that ever beats everybody. So it's like it's not a bad thing. Like in its purest sense, it's not bad for Asta, but as the story goes for a whole, it just makes you not care about any of the side characters. You know, it takes their impact away, which is something I don't like. Which is why for me the chapter wasn't as hype as it could have been. Now the moments with Noelle, phenomenal. Noelle had amazing moments in this chapter to really show where she's growing as a character, especially when you look at her back and like what was that like chapter, like whenever she was first revealed. I don't even remember, but she's so much different and better as a person than she was then, and stronger along with it. So it's just a really dope to see her full journey. But all in all, with the Asa stuff included, I probably give the chapter like a, for me it was like a 5, honestly. Like it was like a 5, and honestly like it should have been like if I'm going just off of how much I really did enjoy where Noelle has gone, I could give it like an 8. But like just the Asa stuff really hurt it for me. It really, really did. So I'm curious to know what you guys thought about the chapter and how you guys feel about Noelle's growth. As well as like, were you guys pumped for Asta coming in and saving the day again, or like did you guys also want to see someone different? Like I'm kind of curious to see like what the community's general feeling on Asta coming in and saving the day again, and that's what I really want to see. Also, is it because Asta is stronger that the Demon Annihilator sword stopped the Accursed bomb? Like, cause I feel like in his training he was trained to master Devil Union, but like did that also give him a boost in his ability to just stop curses and magic? Because if the Demon Annihilator sword could have stopped Lord Peschka's curse this entire time, we have a lot to talk about. But aside from that, make sure you guys like the video as well as subscribe to the channel for more content. You guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all in my next video.